Hi guys, Jill here. Today I want to show you a card I made using the Stampendous Hummingbird stamp as well as my Peerless watercolors. The image is stamped onto Canson XL watercolor paper using the white embossing powder. And I just want to tell you a little bit about the Peerless watercolors. They are a really intense watercolor that's soaked into a piece of paper. I have all of mine into like a little notebook that I bound, and I'll show you that on my blog. So I'll give you a link over to that. But what I'm doing is using my watercolor brush, and I'm picking up a little bit of color at a time, and I'm showing you the names of the colors as I go. But I just pick up a little bit and I add it to my paper. Now I started with the dry on dry technique, and then as you saw, once the paper was a little bit wet, then I did drop a little bit of color in, but I do start with the paper dry. So I'm adding the color in where I want it, and right here I did wet the paper, see that? And now I'm going to drop in some color, and usually it is best to start light and then go darker like I did right there. And so I'm going to add in color to the tail. Now here I did start out a little darker than planned. It all worked out, but I did go in pretty dark here on the tail. But I knew that I wanted this tail to be really dark. So I guess I just went for it. So that was heliotrope like I listed there. But the nice thing, two nice things about this piece is that when you stamp with embossing powder, it helps to keep your color into the little wells, so you don't have to be as careful. And then secondly, the fact that I'll be cutting this out, and I'll be cutting out closely, helps me in the fact that I don't have to worry about if it goes outside the lines. Now today I'm only going to be showing you the bird and a little bit of the background. I lost the footage of the flowers, but it's all the same idea. When I mentioned that I'm going to be showing you the Peerless palette, I'm going to show you how my palette's laid out on my blog so that you can see how I put these little pieces of watercolor, I guess I'd call them paper, into this watercolor palette, and I put transparencies in between them so that I can store them. So now I'm coming in with a nice light blue and adding color all over and just trying to get kind of a base coat on the hummingbird. Once again, coming in light, and I don't go very dark on his body. I added in some darkness, as you'll see, so that I have some definition in spots, but his body ends up light overall. And then I'm adding some color to the eye so that the eye stands out different, and I don't think I list that, but that's a mauve. So again, this is going to be a little darker area. Once again, I really went for it there. With that peacock blue, I knew I wanted more color, but I did even pull some back with just a paper towel. That always comes in handy, but you don't ever want to cover the embossing because it will just sit there and look awkward and flat. So just do a little give and take there like I did. So I know I do add in a little bit, take away a little bit, just so that you don't flood that entire area and have it just dripping out. So then I just come in with the beak, and that's pretty much going to finish up the bird. It was a really fast, simple process. As you can see, I don't have all the yellows. I misplaced those somehow over the years. Okay, so here it is finished up with the background except for the grays. Now, the background was probably the longest part. Again, I put some of the gray, just this pearl gray, under all of the flowers and underneath the hummingbird. And that was just, again, to give some shadow. But I also wanted to accentuate some of the background itself so it didn't look totally flat. And I did that after I cut out the background with the stitched rectangles, and those are from Simon Says Stamp. And again, I'll list all of the supplies below as well as on my blog. And sometimes the supplies are easier to see on my blog because instead of just a list, it shows you the entire pictures instead of just a list. So see, I just showed you a little bit. Now I'm going to use the Happy stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. And I love this one because you can pick out your sentiments in your different happy, or you can add a die cut. Now this card I did send away. Oh, I'm showing you how the magnets will repel each other if you're on the right side. So you don't smash your fingers with your Misty. I used the Onyx Black ink and stamped the happy birthday. The card I show you at the beginning and the end is a different happy birthday because I sent away the card that I did in the video. So you'll notice there's a few differences. And I always clean my stamps right away with my absorber cloth, which is the same as the chamois that Lawn Fawn has. So there's that. I mount my hummingbird with foam squares or foam tape, and I mounted it to look like he was trying to get the nectar out of that flower. And you can see where I created that shadow. Other than the painting, this card is very simple. There's not a lot of layers, there's not a lot going on. And I just mounted it to a purple card, and then I added a bunch of shimmer with the shimmer pen from Spectrum Noir. Now remember, this is watercolor, so I tapped the color on. I didn't rub it on because it will move your watercolor. And then tap off your color if you pick any up. So there you have it. There's the entire card. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave me a comment below. And if you enjoyed this card, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give me a like. Thanks for stopping by and have a great day.